Okay, so today's Fix Me in 5 is going to be about unexpressed emotions. I know this is probably going to be reading backwards for you, so I'll read it. It says, unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. This is something that really hit me hard because I was raised to be very strong and not to show emotion or weakness. I don't think this was their intention. However, by their example, I've repeated my parents' patterns of keeping my emotions to myself, and something I've learned from that is, yeah, exactly, they don't go away, they come forth in uglier ways. So I would keep my emotions deep inside, and then I would come to a boiling point and I would freak out about something so little, very trivial, and has nothing to do with what I'm actually angry about. And it would take me time to actually realize that I was freaking out because of something that I hadn't digested previously, not because of the current trigger. Which comes to my first term, trigger. What is a trigger? So a trigger could be a smell, a noise, a sound, anything that reminds you of a previous traumatic event. These triggers in my brain, because of my neurological Lyme, actually caused me to go into, I can't even explain it. It's almost as if I have Alzheimer's. I completely forget who I am. I completely forget my surroundings, and I just become so fearful. And my go-to has been to either yell or run away. So that's an extreme version of a trigger, but a trigger could be somebody says a word that reminds you of something that was said to you as a child, and you get extra angry at that person, not because the word they chose was anything particularly harsh, but because it reminded you of something that really upset you as a child that you haven't digested. It might be a teenager, adult, whatever. It really doesn't matter. Until you digest the emotions, most of them will stick with you for your life. So how do we do that? How do we digest emotions? Well, I have learned something called cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, you'll hear as it referred to quite often. And it is a way for us to break down our emotions so that we can be more aware of the process of being triggered to the reaction, which usually is something that we don't want to happen. For me, I often get really irritated, and sometimes I yell, or I will become very recluse and quiet. And these are coping skills I learned as a child that I am still overriding, because your brain, the way that it was explained to me is your brain operates on synapses, and a synapse is an electrical current, very loosely stated, from one part of your brain to the other. It's a communication, it's how it communicates. And if we continue the same pattern over and over, the same thoughts over and over, these synapses are going to get quicker and quicker and quicker, to the point that you won't even realize that you're thinking this. It will be subconscious, and you will react very quickly without any foresight as to why you're reacting that way, because this trigger has gone on for so long. So how do we break these triggers? Well, that's the first thing I want to teach you about, because it was the most impactful for me. We all have unhelpful thinking habits. This is something that was given to me at the hospital when I went in for 6 weeks. I had a mental breakdown from all of the medications and withdrawals and stresses of Lyme disease. I ended up going in there voluntarily for 6 weeks, and I learned so much, and I'm so thankful that I had the courage to do that, because it made a huge difference in my life. Anyways, I have 30 seconds left. So what is an unhelpful thinking habit? Well, we all have mental filters, which is the lenses that we view the world through. And unfortunately, we are designed to constantly be looking out for threats. Even though we may not be aware of this, our brain will hijack our thoughts sometimes. So one that I'm very guilty of is catastrophizing. So that is making assumptions that something is going to be worse than it is. There's mind reading, and that's something that a lot of us do, it's when we assume that we know something about somebody else, what they're thinking or how they're feeling about us. There's something called compare and despair, and I know I'm very guilty of this. It's seeing only the positive in other people and only the negative in yourself. What we need to do is try to become more aware of not only our negative qualities, but also our strengths. And we need to see that in other people as well. So if we have somebody on a pedestal, we need to see them as a whole person. How are they achieving all these goals? What help are they receiving? And just understand that a lot of people keep their emotions to themselves because they don't know how to process them and they don't know how to express them. So what we're receiving from someone is more often than not a skewed version of what they're actually trying to communicate. There's shoulds and musts. I know I'm very guilty of this as well. Saying I should do this, or I must, or I really have to do this. For example, going to somebody's event. If you're not feeling well, do not push yourself to go somewhere just to save face. You know, be human. Let them know like you need time to yourself, and put realistic expectations on yourself. Judgments. So this is making evaluations about events or ourselves or other people rather than describing what we actually see. So an example of that would be my camera here. A judgment would be that this is a really cool camera. Even though it is, it's my judgment. That doesn't make it fact. A fact about this camera is that it is pink, and that it is a Polaroid camera, and that it has a string on it. So these are facts, not judgments. And when we're looking at life situations, we really need to focus on the facts and not our judgments, because our judgments are, believe it or not, influenced by things that happened to us from far long ago as our childhood. And until we understand the way that our brain functions, we need to be very careful about what we're judging and about what we're simply describing. Emotional reasoning. That is, well, it must be bad because I feel bad. I feel anxious, so I must be in danger. These are not always correct, because sometimes our brain, in an effort to protect us from these painful events in our past, will create false signals to your central nervous system, to other systems, because it's afraid that what happened in the past is going to happen in this time. Sorry about my stuttering and my repeating words. Lyme disease has affected my cognitive abilities because it has gone neuro, it being left untreated for so long. So anyways, please bear with me. Black and white thinking. So that is something where we believe something is either good or bad, and not acknowledging that there is a huge gray area in between. So we can either minimize the odds of something happening, which puts us in danger, or we overanalyze, we overestimate our risk in something, so it prevents us from growing or experiencing life to the fullest. And also memories. Current situations can, like I've been saying, can trigger upsetting memories. leading us to believe in false memories, leading us to believe that we are in danger or that we are really safe. We just need to be aware that our brains do this so that we can improve our happiness, improve our mental health, improve our relationships with others. Oh fuck, I went to 10 minutes, so double what I intended. But anyways, I hope that this was a nice intro into what I'm trying to teach here. And I hope you got something out of this. Love you.